Hello, everyone. Good afternoon from the UK, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. My name's Guy. I'm the training manager at Third Light, and together with my colleague Marco, welcome to another.
One.
There you are. You there, Marco?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, I wasn't sure you wanted me to introduce myself at that point.
Bear with us, ladies and gentlemen. Marco and I are obviously both working from home, and we can't see each other. So, we shall try to ensure a smooth experience today. That we'll be talking about, from the perspective of looking at managing content as a remote team, from the social media perspective. So let's just take a quick look at what we'll be chatting about. Obviously, we're just saying hi and welcome to you all in these strange times. And yeah, we hope you're staying safe and well and following advice wherever you are. So, we're just saying hi. Shortly, I'll hand over to Marco, who's going to take you through a demonstration. And then, as ever, we'll have time for questions and answers towards the end of today's session. So get your thinking caps on if there's anything you'd like to ask in terms of what you've seen or what you will see today. Please let us know, and we'd be very, very happy to answer that. And, obviously the key point about being here today is thinking, whilst we're all working from home, how can you manage some of these different areas? How can you, work remotely and manage your content and engage with your people as you need to in this current situation? So it's really enough from me, I think. I'm going to hand over to Marco now, who will take control of the screen. So just bear with me whilst I hand over to Marco.
And yeah, show the screen.
And yes, I can see your screen.
You can now see, and you can see chorus as well, which is what you came here for. So that's important. And that works. Thank you, Guy. Right. So yeah, we're looking today at specifically how a social media team could be empowered by chorus to work, do their work, and use the content that you surely have to the best of their capability. There's a few things I'm going to show you. Again, we're focusing on social media. We are thinking about doing more of these webinars where we may kind of zoom in onto a specific sector or a kind of team. But as always, chorus is much more than what we're going to show you in any of these webinars. So please have a look at the full list of them, which Guy will share after this. But without further ado, so we're looking at social media. We're looking at chorus now, and as you know, hopefully, chorus is powerful in a way that allows you to create multiple areas and multiple libraries almost within your site for each of your teams if you want to. That really empowers them. If we look at Julia here, she is not in social media, she's an admin, so you can see pretty much everything. And you can look at this chorus and you can see there's spaces for a design team, for a marketing team, for a photographer's team. Your chorus doesn't have to be so complicated. You may end up with having one or two areas, but obviously in this case we have a few more. Why do I make a space for the social media team instead of just figuring out what permission they should have? Well, I'll show you the experience from the perspective of a member of that social media team, which I made right here, Rita Skeeter, which changed the job recently. Now it works works in social media.
I've got to interrupt here just to say, if you're not a Harry Potter fan, you might have missed out. Like me and Mark, are Harry Potter fans. We do like to put in a little bit of fun where we can.
Yeah, since I came to the UK a while ago, I was basically forced to become a Harry Potter fan. So if you listen to this from abroad, that may not be the case for you. But if you got the joke, you got the joke. Anyway, why do I want to do that? So Rita has a few things that happen here. First, she can only see the social media team, so you don't have to worry about her being able to see things you may not necessarily allowed to see, or maybe there's no need for her to see them. The other important thing is Rita is actually able, within this area, with her files that we see that her team is owning, she's actually able to do all sorts of things like having her own metadata catalog that only her and her team can see and use because it's useful for them to create their own tags. In this case, we made a little approval stage 1 or fields. she can create, we'll see what they are, presets, etc. And she's empowered to upload all the files and use all the things that she needs to do her job without worrying about, oh, if I give her all these powers, what's going to happen to these other files that I don't want her to work with. So very easy to do, and very easy to empower Rita here. So what Rita would do, like what Tim would do potentially, and we'll see a variation on this where later where you may still keep more control on files. But in this case, Rita actually has those files. This is this nice folder of travel pictures that need to go on social media. That here means you can search for them, means you can use facets. There's a lot of useful stuff in here already. You can go, for example, by name of the author. As you know, just having things on Chorus gives you a lot of power. So it's good to put as many people as possible in Chorus. But how can Chorus make it easy for her and her team to reuse or use this content on social media? Well, the very first thing she may want to do is to crop them and make them so that they're correct size for whatever social media they need to do. For let's pick one, for example, I really like this picture of Prague. I haven't been to Prague yet, but I do need to eventually. And when Rita downloads this picture, she has a few choices here. Yeah, she could just get the original file, but if we look at it, this file is probably not the right size for, say, Instagram, right? We know that Instagram wants square pictures. So instead of downloading and then having to open that in Photoshop, she can very quickly have a shortcut here that will crop the picture, in this case from the center, but we'll see how you can tweak that as well if you want. And very quickly, very simply, she's now gotten a, as you can see, square version cut from the center of that picture, ready to go on social media. It took a couple of clicks, much, much faster. And let's imagine now, for example, that Rita is not particularly tech savvy, doesn't really want to know about Photoshop, let alone learning how to use it. It's going to be easier for you potentially to set this preset up for her. Let's say that we want to do a bit more than that, or maybe from the center is not quite right. Let's say, for example, this picture here. We don't want to crop this one from the center. It wouldn't look too nice. So another thing that people can do on Chorus is to choose a preset or even just go on custom crop here. And then make those changes rather than just by clicking on a preset manually. You can actually shortcut first to where you need it to be. And then maybe you'll do a few changes and start zooming onto this. This looks much better, I think. And then download. Again, slightly more complicated tool, but still within reach of most people, I feel, in terms of making those basic changes. And it's all within Chorus. No need to have a file and then change it and have another version and then you multiply however many files you're going to have. Let's download that. And I'll show you that, again, similar results, but very, very simple still. Again, this is for empowering people that to self-serve and not having to always go to a designer and say, hey, can you crop this for me? Can you change this for me? All that I was saying, creating your own space so they can create their own options. There you go, here we have it. Giving them easy tools, even presets like that. And remember, they can make their own presets so that they're relevant for them and nobody else needs to see a very, very long list. It's going to be tailored to this team specifically.
Could I just chip
so
in?
far, so good.
Could I just chip in there, Marco? So I think it's a really interesting demonstration. I think one of the things we were talking about in the run-up to this session was, as Marco's been saying, empowering people to react, because I think it's difficult at the moment. Everyone's working remotely. Some of you will be in different situations than you're used to. So being able, social media teams will obviously need to be proactive at times, but there are other things where they will be reactive, and to enable that to just be done at the click of a button is great. So yes, yeah, absolutely, Marco. I'm just chipping in.
That is very true, and adding to that, I could say that if compared to any other team, the social media team really is one where speed is up the essence. You need to be very, very fast in the world of social media. You can't say wait for somebody else to crop the pictures for you. So you need to have those tools that allow you to very, very quickly react and say, oh, okay, this needs to go on Instagram now. There you go, done, and you do it. Rather than having to spend even just a few minutes could mean a lot in the world of social media. So those are tools that show so far and make it very, very fast and quick. But let's say that you want to add a bit more complication here. For example, let's say that you want someone to double check and approve your crops and what will happen to your files. So let's say that rather than just downloading, you want to say, make a crop, have someone look at it, and then only then, after it's been approved, then you download it. It adds a bit of time, but it may be what you need in your organization, right? It depends on how you structure things. So how do you do that in Chorus? How do you do that without having to download the file first? If you want to crop it first and then download it. Well, you have a feature called derivatives, which does exactly that, and not just cropping, but that's an example. So let's take a nice picture again. I think this is Sao Paulo, another place I haven't seen, and I should at some point make time for. And we click on create derivative instead of downloading. Right, so we'll do the same thing. We'll pick whatever preset we want. Again, we could just make a change. And actually, let's do that. Let's make it into like a banner thing. Okay, perfect, like this. Nice. And we're going to make it into a JPEG because we want to make sure that it's a smaller size. Perfect. And I'm going to crop the fit and create derivative. You notice how the tool is the same, which means you only have to learn this thing once, and then sort of like you have that same tool being used for something else, which we'll see now what it is. Right, now we're being asked where to put this because we're saving this derivative. Some people call them virtual copies, but we call them derivatives onto Chorus. Let's put them into this folder, pending approval, and select. We'll see what happens now. Is the original still there? I haven't really edited that. It's non-disruptive editing, we call it. But in this other folder now, and automatically add a little question mark as well because it's pending approval, I have the banner version. It's still on Chorus. It's not taking up extra space. It says 0 bytes. But now someone else can come in and have a look. And if you're a manager, let's say that Juliet needs to check it, she could potentially go into her private space and have like a smart collection that looks for them, or even just make a search. So things can just pop in here. And from here, she can look at it and say, all right, this is good enough. I like it. And then she can maybe add the metadata, tell you, or even just go to the original and say, you know what, that's good. You can use it. I'll put it inside this other folder. I'll move it out into the approved. And there you go. So now Rita has had that approved by someone else, all in Chorus without using extra space, without creating extra copies that now get lost and it gets messy pretty much. Everything is still on Chorus. And then from here, she can just download the original. And the original in this case will be this crop that she made. So as you can see, like we started very simple, we're adding a bit more complication because some organizations need that level of extra control. And talking about control, obviously, again, my opinion, the faster, the better. So sort of like less complication for me, it's ideal, but that's not always possible. So we're going to go now to show a different scenario. Let's imagine now that.
Could I chip in with one thing there as well? Sorry, I think what you've demonstrated so far is two really distinct different ways of managing this, and I think it's just reiterating and emphasising the point around we appreciate for a lot of our customers, the way you run internally and your internal processes can be really quite different. So yeah, from the approach of access for everyone through to the keeping that element of control and ensuring consistency, it's two really good demonstrations of that. So I just sorry for just cutting into big again, Marco, I can't help it.
I know. No, that's exactly why we're doing this in two, so we can help each other. No, but seriously, it's very true, and that's sort of like where I was getting at, is that I'm going to show you different options because I know that sometimes you can do things very fast and lose if you want, or sometimes you need tight control, and Chorus is very flexible where you can turn the dial to where it needs to be and to where it fits your organization. Let's give an extreme example now where, we empower social media, right? We give them a space, they could do everything and all that. But let's say that they don't really own the images, right? You don't want them to have access to the high-res version, to the very nice artwork that you may have available, maybe only for certain people in your organization. Or maybe your social media team is not even necessarily employed by you. Maybe there are people that you're going to give a user profile, but they may not necessarily work for you. So you want to make it a bit more tightly controlled. What you can do, let's go back to Juliet here. is instead of letting them upload files onto their space, you can do even the crops for them. So using, again, this derivative. You could say go into where the files are. Imagine this folder, I believe. What is it? Photo shoot here. And let's say that now we're going to give them the crops, and then they're just going to download them from Coros and put them on social media, right? Let's go sports and leisure, something that we all would love to go back to, unfortunately can't at the moment. So we just grab a few pictures. Let's say we could do the whole folder if you wanted to. Let's say we can just say Command A, Control A, and select everything. And the derivatives can be done in batch, which is very handy in this case. So we're going to basically recreate this folder, or what's in this folder currently, onto their space. We're going to give them a cropped version. Let's just select everything down here, and we'll pick the Instagram post again. And now basically all of these pictures have been, will have that one preset applied, that Instagram post applied. If I click create derivative, I'm going to basically create another folder onto the space of where the social media team can go, where they will find not the original, but the cropped version that they can just download. So they don't even have to learn that very basic tool that we saw before. You just create that. If you want to make changes individually, you can double check that everything is fine and say, okay, so this one, okay, this one I'm going to have to zoom in a little bit and make it like this. So you can make pretty little tweaks to make sure everything is fine. Otherwise, you create derivative, and then you go back to that space. And again, they can only see that space. So you're very safe that they're not going to access the files you don't want them to access. Maybe you create a new folder, and you just call it Instagram crops sport and leisure. Very long name for a folder. Created a folder, we select it and select. And in a second, this will take a bit longer because it's doing quite a lot of crops. But we'll have all of those pictures basically cropped and prepared for the social media team in a specific folder without giving them access. There we are. Without giving them access to the original. Let's go from here. We can see here, we're back to Rita, and see Rita can go in here now and she can just grab whatever they need. She can't see the originals, which again may not be something that she's allowed to see. And all she has to do is to go in here and just basically see they all cropped nicely and grab what she needs. Obviously, you can download them. You can just download the original. And original, again, is not the original, but this derivative, this version that we gave her access to. Want to make it even easier, like not even give her a user profile. We said that not all of your social media, member of the social media team are necessarily part of your organization, and therefore may not have a user profile. But you can give a user profile to other people, not necessarily just the people in your organization. You can take that folder and share it as a link. If you do that, you can now publish this folder onto a URL, or even send it a link to this folder over email, as you wish, and pick a nice theme. We'll pick the masonry because I think it's very flashy and nice. We're not going to change anything else. There's a lot more things you can do with these links. They're very flexible, but when it's not for today's webinar, I do encourage you to play around with them if you have a trial site, or ask maybe for a demo if you need. And we'll just get a public link, but you could email this link and have the same thing that we're going to show you. I'm going to show you in just a second, but just more handily, just put your sequence in here and we'll do the email for you. If you just want a link, you just create it. And now we're going to go onto this URL. Doesn't need any login, any authentication, so you can just give it to anyone. And basically what you can say is give people this and say, here's the pictures you can use, pick the one you want. And those, again, oh, something on there, but maybe still preparing the link. Okay, well, I'll look into that. But basically you can just create that link and give the URL to people, and they'll be able to just browse and download and even making searches, because all those crops we made keep the original metadata, so you could search for things in there. Anyway, that's the sort of like the run through of a few scenarios and things you can do for the social media team and how you can empower them and make their life easier, given the tools they need to react fast to the ever-changing world of social media. If you have questions, obviously me and Guy are here for you, but hopefully that was sort of like a good overview.
Yeah, that was great, Marco. And I think just to chip in from my perspective in training, derivatives is normally a feature that a lot of people are quite impressed by. And I think to be able to demonstrate how simple it is to, create a whole series of
Yeah.
images that have been cropped a certain way and don't affect the originals. I mean, it's a really
Yeah.
useful, powerful demonstration. So yeah, nicely played, sir. Thank you.
Mhm. We have a previous webinar specifically on derivatives too. So if you want to learn more about what you can do, there's quite a few cool scenarios where you could use derivatives that we covered in that one. I would recommend you go back and watch that too.
And just, how do we share these recordings? So if you've registered, even if you don't come to the webinars, you'll get an email with the recording, but there'll be people that maybe missed it, they weren't at work, whatever. So we actually on our company Chorus site have a smart collection with all of our webinar recordings in, which so the smart collection is shared as a public link, as you can see here.
Yep.
And all of the previous webinar sessions are all available there. So if anyone wants to get in touch with Marco or I, we'll share that link with you so you can catch up on anything previously, because Marco and I are joking about the fact we're podcast stars, and
yes, we are now. We've not got a few. You can see we've not got a few. Actually, just to kind of reiterate that, we're using exactly that feature for links. And the cool thing is, and it may not be obvious to you, those are video files. You don't have to download them from the link. You can watch them from the link. So basically, the moment you get on the link, you can immediately have a look without having to worry about, oh, I'm going to have to download this video now. No. You can watch it from here. And the link is, we're going to give it to you. Don't worry about memorizing now. But with those links, you can choose what URL they have. So as you can see in this case, it's very much memorable in the sense that you don't have to write it down necessarily. But yeah, of course, we'll give it to you. You don't have to remember it now.
Yeah, and I think going back to today's demonstration, of course, in these strange times we all find ourselves in, we're trying to be quite general in our advice on Chorus, and we appreciate that a lot of you are in different working situations for the time being, for the foreseeable future. So if there are any queries today on anything you've seen, feel free to ping us a question, or after today, if there's anything in general on Chorus, although we're not as a business really actively pursuing anything at the moment, we are here to help if you need us.
Yes,
we're
absolutely.
Marco, as I was saying earlier, Marco and I are both working from home, as are the rest of our third lighters. So we're here to help if you need us. So please get in touch if you need to.
Please do. Yes, there's always a pleasure to help customers, even just advice or sort of like either answering questions. But it doesn't have to be a question about something specific. It could be I would like to do this with Chorus. Can I? We'll find a way probably to utilize what features and tool set Chorus gives you to realize your vision of what kind of work you want to do with it. There's a lot you can do with Chorus for sure. Right.
Yeah, and actually, there's one, Marco. I was going to flick it back over to me in a sec, if you could, please.
Oh yeah, I do have to do that for you, right?
I think so. Actually, no,
I don't. No, I think you
yeah.
can just grab back the attention of. Yeah.
Can I? Yes. Okay. Sorry.
You're back.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So just coming back to the presentation slides for a second here. So obviously, Marco's taking you through the demonstration. Something else we've been doing, during this, during the situation with COVID, is on a Friday afternoon at 4 p.m. UK time, we're just having like an after work social chat. It's been quite interesting. We didn't have one. We had one last week, not the week before, due to the bank holiday. But we've had a variety of people from, the States, from across Europe, and sort of, how are you finding it? What's working for you? How are you working from home? It's, quite sort of just general conversation, and you're all very welcome to come and join us for that if it would help. So yeah, as I say, that would be tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock our time in the UK. But I just thought I'd mention that too. Of course, encourage you to ask any questions from the session today, and if there aren't any questions, we could finish slightly early. I think if there aren't any specific questions on anything, I would just certainly encourage you to let us know of anything, whether off the back of what you've seen today with Marco's demonstrations or in general. Be great to to speak with you further on anything that would help. So.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, I guess Marco, in that case, thank you very much. Sterling job as ever, and thank you to everyone that's come today. And we both wish you well and stay safe wherever you are.
Yeah. Exactly. Have a nice day, and talk to you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we'll be back in a couple of weeks' time for another session. So we'll be sharing details of that in due course. So yeah, we'll leave it to you. We'll leave you to it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for coming today.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.